Okay. So the information session today is going to mainly be about what we need to do right away. So there is some lab equipment that is we need to get a head start on that. So that's the primary objective of this meeting, to get you guys that information about what to buy, who has to buy first of all, and where to buy it from. So let's go to the second slide here. Okay, so that's going to be my agenda. I'm going to first introduce myself, talk about what I do at RPI, then talk about the class, the mode of delivery for the class, whether it's going to be hybrid or is it going to be online. I'll talk about the two sections for this course, and I'm going to in fact further split each section into three groups. I'm also going to touch on the email that I sent out yesterday about the initial survey. This gives me a good idea about the distribution of this class. Who is in the US, who is outside the US, what are your email addresses, how many are freshmen, how many have, how many would need need the department to ship you the board. So there are lots of, I think there are 9 questions or so. And if you have not responded to that, I know that about 70 students have already responded. That's a brilliant response rate within 24 hours. But that also means that close to 40% have not responded yet. So please make sure that you respond. I'm talking about the survey that is conducted on Google Forms. I'm going to quickly give you guys the link to that in the chat box so that you all have it. If you have already submitted the survey, you don't need to do it a second time. This is only for people who have not done it even one time. Okay, then I'm going to talk about the most important thing, I guess, which is the equipment required and where to buy it from. Then before I take your questions, I'm also going to talk about the online tools that we are going to be using for this class. And because we are not on campus right now, it is going to be pretty important to keep an eye on some of these tools, because that's the only way I can communicate with you all. In fact, one of the resources is Piazza, which you can use to communicate amongst yourselves. Okay, let's move on to the next slide here. So I've attached my picture from a few years ago over here. My name is Mahmoud Hamid. I'm your CoCo, well, that should say Intro-ECSE instructor. My email address, my RPI email address is provided here. My WebEx meeting room link is also provided over here. This is the link that I use for office hours, which you guys will be using during the semester, not as right now, but that's the link that you would use. I'm going to be making these set of slides available to you on Piazza, so you will have all of these links. You don't have to write it down right now. Some of the other courses that I teach include Intro to ECSE, of course, Signals and Systems, Computer Components and Operations, which is ECSE 2610, Communication Systems, Digital Communication, Electronic Instrumentation, which is a core engineering class, and Capstone Design. So I'm heavily involved with the teaching at RPI in my department. I'm going to take a moment here because I see a lot of things appearing in the okay. All right, so yes, so please mute yourself so that I guess I can do mute all. Can I do mute all? No. Well, I don't want to spend time trying to figure this out. Venkat says it's all good. All right, so let's move on. So as I was saying, my email, my WebEx meeting room, and information about my classes. This is not, my regular teaching duties. I'm just giving you a spread of all the classes I'm involved with. Um, so uh, the point is, there are very good chances that you will see me in future semesters as well. Okay, let's move on to the next slide here. The mode of course delivery. So it's going to be hybrid mode. What does that mean? It means that a lot of it is going to be online, but there is also going to be an in-person component for the class. This is not a required component. You don't have to come to campus if you are online. If you have selected the online option with RPI, then of course this doesn't apply to you. This applies to people who are on campus. This is a flipped classroom. What does that mean? That means that the video content for this class is going to be available to you for watching before the actual class. So you would watch the video content, and then you would come to class to actually do the experiments, right? So there's a hands-on class in which you will be using equipment to perform experiments and analyze your results and report your conclusions. So that's what you do in the classroom, or if you're at home, you would do that in your room. But the lecture, so the class usually starts with a discussion, but that discussion is a mini lecture. The majority of the content is going to be available before the class, and you will be expected to watch those videos ahead of time, so that during class you can ask questions about them, and you can actually apply what you learned during those lectures in those lectures to the experiments that you will be carrying out. Questions about the mode of delivery? I'm going to provide more details in a minute, but if there are any questions, uh, please type them in the chat box. Parker says, how will the group work function for those online? So uh, your work, as long as you have the equipment, you will be provided with a lab write-up, an experiment write-up, which will describe the objectives, the procedure of the lab. So you will carry those out at home, and while you're doing that, teaching staff will be available on WebEx to help you with any question that you might have. And on top of that, we will also be having WebEx virtual office hours where you can get help from either me or some undergraduate student assistants, and also graduate teaching assistants. So there will be a lot of online help for to guide you through that experiment if you need that help. But that's how you will be doing things online. You will be actually doing the experiments at home. The next question is, how soon before the class will the content will be available? Some content might be available, a few days in advance, and some content might be available probably a day in advance. So I'm going to try my best to make that available to you as soon as possible. And if I'm not able to convey some content, I will be going over that during the first few minutes of each class. Where will the video lectures be posted? Right now, I have a YouTube channel that I use to post video lectures. I'm going to give you guys the link to that right here in the chat box. So this is the playlist specifically for Intro to ECSE. I plan to make the videos available on this platform, YouTube. But if there are students who are not able to access YouTube, please let me know, and I'll have to come up with an alternate platform, maybe through an ECSE server. Uh, the only downside to that is students might not be able to play it at 2x speed that I've come to find out that many of you like to do that. You will not be able to do that on ECSE servers. You will be able to do that on YouTube. Other questions? There is a annotation request that I am. Well, that went away. Okay, so it looks like there are no more questions about things so far. Let me proceed. So there are going to be, there are two sections for this class. There is a section one, uh, Monday Thursday, that meets Monday Thursday from 12 noon to 1:50 p.m. Eastern time. So that's local to RPI, and it is actually that section is already full. That already has 70 students. Section 2 is again on the same day, Monday, Thursday. However, it's later on in the day, so 4 to 5:50 p.m. Eastern time. And there are 64 students already enrolled in section 2, so we just have about 6 slots left in section 2. Now, because of this class being hybrid, and because many of you will have the opportunity to come to class and interact with the teaching staff and get in-person help, the only way that can work is if each section gets divided into 3 groups, so that if I divide up 70 into 3 groups, I will have just a little bit over 20 students in each group. So section 1 will have 3 groups, section 2 will also have 3 groups, and in every class, one group from each section will be invited to come to in-person class. Now, out of that, some might be online students. You don't have to show up to class then, but students who are on campus will have that opportunity to come to class. But I will inform you about which group you belong to and which particular class day you can come to class. So essentially, I'm going to pick up the roster. 70 students divide by 3, and then 64 students divide by 3, and then I will meet the first group of section 1 and first group of section 2 on the first day of class. Then I will meet them again on the fourth day of class. So they will be working either at home or in your dorm room for the class days that you're not physically present in class. Questions about who is going to be in person and how the division is going to happen? Okay, it looks like you guys have it figured out. Let's move on to the next slide. So, going back to that initial survey that I mentioned earlier on, let me take a moment here to answer a chat question. If the group is not invited to class, would there be an online part to the class then? Yes, absolutely. The online part is going to be there not only for the group that is not invited, but also for the group that is not on campus. So they will all, yes, it will be broadcasted through video, yes, and it will be recorded as well for people who are in time zones west. Maybe they are on the west coast, or maybe they are international. For those students, the videos, the class videos will be recorded, and they will be made available most likely on that YouTube playlist that I linked above. Or if you are having trouble accessing YouTube, then please let me know, and I will try to post it on some other platform as well. So yes, it will be broadcasted live. Yes, it will be recorded, and yes, students who are not in class. Remember, only 20 students in a section are going to be in person. Everybody else is going to be either on campus in their dorm room, or they are going to be in their home if they have opted for remote learning this semester. Okay, let's come back to the initial survey. I sent out an email just yesterday, and that had two things. One was the initial survey, uh, the link to which I have provided on the slide, and I think I actually provided that link up in the chat box as well. Uh, and I'm reposting that link now in the chat box. So if you have not filled out the survey, please do that as soon as possible. It should not take you more than 5 minutes to do this. And just a word of caution: when I asked for a street address, I meant the complete street address. That includes your street, everything, including the city and the state and the zip code. Like, put in everything, put all those pieces in your street address. That's probably the last question on that survey. Now, many of you have not registered your account on Piazza. Piazza is an online tool that we are going to use as a discussion forum for this class. And in fact, in the ECSE department, we use it for almost all the other classes as well. So it is good to get familiar with it, and it's pretty straightforward. You're not gonna need a lot of time getting used to the environment, the Piazza environment. So if you have not registered, you should have received an email from me yesterday about creating an account with Piazza. Create an account using your RPI email address and log in to that Piazza forum and take a look at the first post, the initial post that was pushed. So I actually posted that on Piazza, and I asked Piazza to push it to your RPI email, and that's how you received it in your email account. Piazza is the platform that we are going to use for a lot of things in this class. In fact, I for some of the classes, I use Piazza as my one-stop shop for almost everything. For posting lecture notes, for answering student questions. Students can engage within themselves. So if student one has a question, and if student two has an answer, you guys can communicate with each other on that platform as well. So I highly recommend that you register an account and get used to that Piazza environment as soon as you can. Questions about initial survey, information about on Piazza, and of course, if you didn't get an email about the Piazza account, you need to let me know right now. So this video, when it gets recorded, I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm going to provide the link to that video on Piazza. If you go on Piazza and look under resources, you should find later on in the day a link to this particular video. So register an account and maybe check. Oh, by the way, Piazza has an app. So if you would like Piazza on your phone, Android, Apple, whichever phone you have, you can install Piazza on your phone and have quick access to it. And I recommend that you keep checking Piazza for notifications, right? So if I that's the main mode of me communicating information to you. Okay, let's move on. Now, coming to lab equipment, what do we need? We need an instrumentation board, and the instrumentation board, we are going to call that M1K, and it comes in this little box here. I have pictures of this on the later slides, but I'm going to call it M1K. The part number for the instrumentation board is actually ADALM 1000. So it's designed and manufactured by Analog Devices, the company. But instead of saying ADALM 1000, we are going to call it the M1K board, the instrumentation board. So this instrumentation board is going to be heavily used during this course. It's going to be our function generator, it's going to be our oscilloscope, it's going to be our voltmeter, it's going to be our ammeter, it's going to be the instrument, the lab equipment, the main lab equipment we are going to use for this class. So everyone in this class should have their hands on this M1K board as soon as possible. More about that in a few minutes. Now, apart from this instrumentation board, you need the parts kit. The parts kit is ADALP 2000. That's the part kit that we are going to need. Now, what is there in that parts kit? There are a lot of components, electric circuits components, resistors, capacitors, potentiometers, a screwdriver, a proto board or a breadboard, wires. So there are lots of things that are there in that parts kit that you will use not only for intro to ECSE, but moving forward, you will use that same parts kit for circuits, for intro to electronics, for your later classes as well. Especially if you are an ECSE student. So two things, M1K board and the parts kit. Everyone needs to have their hands on this. Now let me turn to some questions that I saw coming up on the chat box. Is Piazza exclusively used for this class only? Well, this Piazza page is only for this class only. So Piazza is a forum, right? So if I I can probably do this. I can pull up a web page, and I hope you guys are able to see my Google Chrome window here. Now, if I click on Piazza, it'll take me to piazza.com, but because I have many classes, you will see that if I click on this drop down menu, I've used this Piazza discussion forum for computer components and operations, signals and systems, intro to ECSE, that's us, electronic instrumentation. So depending on which class you would go on it. So for example, if I click on intro to ECSE, this brings this particular page. So only the students who are enrolled in this class are added to this particular page. So this is where there are some resources. This is the original post that I talked about, and then you guys can, if you have any concerns, you can start a follow-up discussion at the bottom over here, and then there is a resources tab at the top, which will take you to let's see, homework and homework solutions, lecture notes. This section will be reorganized based on the resources that are meant for our class. This is just a default view, but I'm actually going to post the slides and the video lecture link in this space here after our meeting today. All right, so that's as far as Piazza is concerned. I'm going to minimize this and talk about, is the Analog Discovery 2 sufficient? Yes, the Analog Discovery 2 board is sufficient, but you still need the parts kit. The next question is, if we are on campus, do we need to still buy this ourselves? So hang on to that question. I'm going to answer that in a minute. The next is, are these the things getting sent to us through our survey, or do they need to be purchased separate? Again, I'm going to address that in just a minute. On the parts kit, it shows all parts included but does not show price or option to buy. Let me give you guys those links. They are coming up in just a minute. Would you mind posting the link to the M1K and the parts kit in the chat? Okay, so here These links are through analog devices, but this is not where you want to go and directly buy this, right? About where to buy, I'm going to talk in just a minute. For now, I'm talking about what we need to get. We need to get an M1K board and a parts kit. If you have an analog discovery 2 board, that can be a substitute for the M1K instrumentation board. I expect most of you not to have that analog discovery 2 board, but if you have it, it can still work. Um, I'm going to quickly move on to the next slide so that we can actually talk about how to get the board. Now, things are a little bit different if you are an ECSE student. This class, Intro to ECSE, is the primary enrollment is by freshmen who come into ECSE. So if you are an ECSE student, that means that you are either majoring in electrical engineering, or you are majoring in computer systems engineering, or you have a dual of some sort. You belong to the ECSE department. If you are mechanical engineering, or if you are undecided, then you don't fall in this category. So I'm going to first talk about what you should do if you are an ECSE student. If you are an ECSE student, and if you are going to be on campus in the fall, then the M1K board will be provided to you during the first week of classes. So this is already we have that in the department. So it's physically present in RPI, in the JEC building. We are going to give you the board, but for that you need to be two things. One, you need to be on campus. Two, you need to be an ECSE student. And this is going to be of no charge to the student, because Analog Devices, one of the alumni who is also an industry advisory board member, Doug Mercer, has donated money to the department and has made sure that each incoming freshman in ECSE gets their hands on this board. So, which is why we are not going to charge you if you are an ECSE student. So, if you are an ECSE student and you are on campus, then you don't need to worry about buying things right away. You will be given the board during the first week of classes. Most likely the first time we meet in person. It might happen just a little bit before that, but more information about that as we get closer to the start of the semester, because we still need to figure out when you guys will be tested and how the date, how the reopening, is it soon, is it fast, is it quarantine time. So there are lots of pieces to this. Now next, how about the parts kit? You will still need to buy the parts kit from the RPI bookstore. RPI bookstore informed me this morning that they have the parts kit link available, so you can start putting your order in for the parts kit that is meant for this class, ECSE 1010. It should be about I'm not exactly sure about the price, but it should be around the $50 mark. Now, if you are going to be coming on campus, then you have the option to actually go to the RPI bookstore and pick the parts kit from there in person. So you could push that to a later date. So that's as far as ECSE students who are going to be on campus is concerned. Now, what about ECSE students who are online, which means they are at home? They are going for remote learning in the fall semester. If that is the case, then we need your address. I need a street address from you, which is why I asked that question on the survey, so that I can ship you the M1K board. So the shipping of the M1K board is for free, is going to apply only for ECSE students who are online or remote in the fall 2020 semester. you will still need to buy the parts kit from the bookstore. This you can put in your order right away. So if you are going to be online, then definitely, you are probably away from campus, which means that you will have to deal with shipping times. So you should put in the order for the parts kit. So go to the RPI bookstore. um, you know I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, so I'm gonna if you search for RPI bookstore, it'll take you to the collegiate store link, where you can search, you can look for. I'm actually going to do this over here. So I'm at the RPI bookstore webpage. Okay, so I'm going to decline here for a second. So if you take a look at this link here, course materials, you click on that, and then both in store. So you're trying to buy it online. So click on online, and then you would actually search for ECSE 1010. Um, so I suppose because we are in a meeting, my bandwidth is uh, being shared between multiple applications, which is why I'm not getting it over here too quickly. Okay. All right, here. So shop by course, select the department, select the course, select the section. And then when you click on find the material, so I don't need this for now. This is my older ones. And then you click on find the material, you should see find course material, and it takes you to, right. So that's the part kit, $56. Now you can, right now it says out of stock because they have not received the shipment yet, but they are expecting that in a few days. You can still put in your order. So I would recommend you to do that right away if you are an ECSE student and you are online. Okay, let me minimize this and take a question here. How long would it take if I buy it on RPI bookstore? Oh, that depends on where you are located. Now, if you are within the US, it might take anywhere between 1 week to 2 weeks. But if you are outside of the US, then it might take a long, long time, which means you should try to look for this same parts kit outside of the US. Try to buy it locally. So if you are, for example, in China, then I would recommend you to buy the parts kit in locally in China. So buy things locally to save on shipping times. If you are in China, don't buy things from the US because they tend to take many weeks to even months. So don't do that. Try to buy it locally. Would we need the parts kit already during the first 2 weeks while on campus students are in quarantine? Let me. So the parts kit is required to do the experiments. The sooner that you have it, the better, right? So if you are going to be on campus, not a big problem. Why? Because I can walk to the bookstore and get it from the student union. So the RPI bookstore is located in the student union. So if you are on campus, actually you are in the best situation. You can just walk over to the bookstore and pick it up in person. In fact, that's what I would recommend because you save on your shipping times. So guys, again, I want to make these things a little bit more clear about the parts kit, right? So the parts kit is available at the bookstore. If you are going to be on campus, then I recommend that you walk over to the bookstore and purchase the parts kit over there. But if you are going to be online, put your order in right away. All right, next, let us move on here. I think I covered both of these, right? If you're an ECSE student, I've covered both of these, on campus and online. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now, if you are a mechanical student or some other department or computer science student, that means that you are not an ECSE student, which means that you're going to have to buy the lab equipment yourself, both the M1K board as well as the parts kit. Now, for the M1K board, if you are on campus, the ECSE department can loan you an M1K board for the fall semester, and you will be expected to use it responsibly and then return the board at the end of the semester. But that can happen if you are on campus. But if you are away from campus and you are a non-ECSE student, then you need to purchase the board by yourself. And in the next couple of slides, I will show you guys the links. So to reiterate, if you are on campus and you are outside ECSE, a non-ECSE student, then you will need to purchase the M1K board by yourself. But if you happen to be on campus, then the ECSE department can loan you an M1K board for only the fall semester. If you want to have the board for yourself, then you can clearly purchase the board for yourself as well. And the links to that are in a minute. You would still need to buy the parts kit from RPI bookstore, or I have several other distributors, for example, Mouser, DigiKey, or even Analog Devices. I'm going to share the links in a minute here. You can buy the parts kit from them as well. Now coming to the next one, if you are online and you are a non-ECSE student, then you need to purchase the M1K board for yourself. We will not be able to loan you the board because you are online, and you will need to purchase the parts kit from the bookstore or from other distributors. I am going to talk more about each and every link and how do you search in just a few more minutes. But I can take any questions about the last two slides right now, which is, do you know which category you belong to? ECSE, non-ECSE, whether you are online or you are in person, right? So that's essentially 4 categories that I have divided this slide and the previous slide in. So I hope that everybody on this call and everybody listening knows which category they belong to and they can take the appropriate steps. Now, no, you don't need to buy the M1K board. So if you are ECSE and you are on campus, right here, you see, if you are on campus, M1K board will be provided to you. So I'm going to essentially, going around in class, or I can arrange for a pickup if we can do this, before the start of classes. If you are able to do this, then I'm going to arrange for a pickup where you would come in, you would take the necessary precautions, mask and everything. Of course, after being tested, you would come in and then you would pick up the board. And along with the board, there are some other goodies that are added on for ECSE students. Thanks to the donation from Doug Mercer from Analog Devices. Okay, let's see. Other questions about this? Okay, let's move on. We covered this as well. If you're a non-ECSE student, what you should do about the M1K board and the parts kit. Now, no matter which category you belong to, you should have the urgency to get the equipment as soon as possible. And the reason is this: for some, the shipping delays might be too long, and I don't want you to miss out on the actual lab experiments that you will need to conduct. So if it is about 1 week, we can, maybe have simulations and some theory, but this is the class is a hands-on class, so you need to get the equipment as soon as possible. So if you're ordering things online, do it now. I'm not really- so I'm going to so Kai Wen Yang asked a question. I'm not an ECSE student and I want to loan the board from the department. How and when will I obtain the board? So this is going to be at the same time I give the board to all the ECSE students. The only difference is going to be for you, it's going to function as a loaner. For all the other ECSE students, it's going to function as something that they just get to keep. But I will note down your information when I'm handing this to you, and once so that I can help with the return of the board at the end of the semester. So it'll happen the same time as everybody, all the ECSE students who are on campus. Okay. Let's see. So no books for this class, guys. This is completely a hands-on experiments class. No books. You don't need to buy any books, but I need to give you the links where to buy the boards from and the equipment from, and those are right here. So don't copy them right now. Soon after this presentation gets done, I'm going to upload this on Piazza. Get these links from there. It is going to be available under the resources section on Piazza. So for example, I can just maybe copy one link here and paste it in the chat box. So this is the M1K board through Mauser Electronics. It should be around the $40 mark, the board. Uh, so try to take a look at Mauser, DigiKey, or maybe even directly from Analog Devices. I have all those links. So Mauser link I've provided here. Uh, let's just complete the story. DigiKey link I have provided next. It's the same board. You need to only buy one board and one parts kit. And if you are ECSE, you don't even have to buy the board. And then I'm going to also paste the Analog Devices link here. So the three links that are mentioned in the slide, I have pasted that in the chat box. A simple way to get to these pages is go to the main page of Mauser or DigiKey or Analog Devices and search for the part number ADALM1000, and you will get to these pages. So depending on which one has stock and which one has a lesser lead time, so that you can get it as soon as possible, choose that particular distributor for the board. If you are outside of the US, unfortunately, I don't have those links with me, but you should try to look up the same board in your country close to you locally, so that you can get that board without having to deal with the long shipping times. Questions about this? And I hope it is very, very clear that if you are an ECSE student, you do not have to buy the board. This is only for students who are non-ECSE. Okay, so it looks like there are no questions at the moment. So the the board actually is manufactured in Asia. So if you are in China, if physically the board is closer to you than us, so there should be options for you to buy it locally. Now, if you are having trouble, I don't know where the link is. I don't know where to buy this from. You uh, try to post those questions on the Piazza page so that other students who have figured out where to get things from can help you, right? So this is a community effort so that everybody has the right equipment in the right time. So if you have concerns about where to get this from, raise those concerns on Piazza page so that if I'm not able to help you, I don't have the links, other students who have done this search and who have figured out a solution will be able to help you. Okay. Now we said two things, right? Board, M1K board, and the parts kit. Let's come to the parts kit. RPI bookstore will stock them. RPI bookstore will stock close to 130 of these parts kit. And not only for us, this will be for circuits, for electronic instrumentation, for other classes as well. So they need to have a pretty good amount of stock, pretty good inventory for the fall semester. And I got to know today that the shipment is en route and it's going to be here in a few days. You can, as I showed you guys on the RPI bookstore, you have to search for the department ECSE, search for the course ECSE 1010, and place in your order for the parts kit as soon as possible. When you get it, keep it safe, because you not only use this for this class, you use the same parts kit for other classes going forward. You should try to buy it locally. So if you are an international student, I would recommend for any and everything that you want to purchase, try to buy it locally. And I'm suggesting that not just for this course, for courses across the board. I have some other lab classes that face the same problem. And the only way it gets resolved is when students buy things locally. Okay, so let me provide the links to this as well. Now, RPI bookstore is probably going to work out very conveniently if you are on campus or even close to campus. But if you are away from campus, then you have the option of getting things from RPI bookstore. If you are putting in an order for other books for other classes, and if you want to include this parts kit in that order, that's fine. But if you want to go for other distributors, I have their links over here that I'm pasting as well. This is for DigiKey and this is for Mouser. And how do you get to these? Go to DigiKey or go to Mouser website and search for ADALP2000 parts kit, and you will see this. Now both the links on this page I have put in the chat box for you guys to. Again, you don't need to buy more than one. You need one parts kit and one board. That is it. So I'm just giving you buying options. I'm not asking you to buy from each option. Okay, let's move. Questions here? So if that is the case and students are not able to leave their dorm room for the first week of classes, then we will do this during the second week of classes. Like I said, we can have other types of learning for 1 week of class, but we cannot have this for longer, right? So if this is a logistical issue and we have to follow these guidelines, and we are in the dorm rooms, then things might get pushed to the second week. However, I want to reduce that time as much as possible, but I still want to follow the guidelines that are through the school. So during the first week of class, we can spend that time on getting some simulation work going, understanding some background information about circuit components. We can do plenty of things, plenty of other things ahead of time, to 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 uh, to use the first week efficiently for the class. So I don't want to commit to anything right now, just because we are a few weeks before that decision needs to be made. Right now, the decision to be made is buy the equipment, get the equipment. If you are going to be on campus, then you can slightly take things easy, because being on campus right now, for getting the lab equipment is going to be an advantage. But if you are on off campus, you got to put in the order right now. And as I said, no textbooks for this class. You are investing in the lab equipment, the M1K board and the ADA LP 2000 parts kit. Okay, so just so that there is absolutely no confusion about what you are buying, I have put the pictures of the board on this slide. What does the M1K board look like? It comes in this particular box. It should have this USB-A to micro USB cable. You know, the same cable that you use to charge your Android phones, right? That's how you connect the board to the computer. So, and your laptop is where you are running the software that controls the M1K board. The M1K board itself is the one that is shown over here. So it has function generators, it has oscilloscopes, it has DC voltage supplies, it has a lot of things of interest to this class. And more details about that when we actually get to using this. But that's what you're after, that particular board. And inside that box, there will also be some header pins that will connect to the side of this board, so that you can wire things between a breadboard on which you will make the circuit, and then you will connect that to your M1K board using those wires here. They are shown in red and white and black. So these are the things that you will have in that M1K box. That's what it looks like. The parts kit is very comprehensive. It's a very good parts kit. The things that are there in the parts kit are listed on the right over here. That's actually the picture. So if you look at the parts kit from the top, there is this picture that you see on the right. The list, complete list, is actually pasted on top of the plastic box. It has various types of resistors of different values. It has capacitors, it has transistors, it has inductors, it has light emitting diodes, it has op amps. It has a lot of components that you will need for intro to ECSE, as well as circuits and intro to electronics later on in your ECSE career. So buy this, keep it safe. Or if you are getting things from the RPI bookstore, pick it up from RPI bookstore and keep it safe. Okay, questions about what we are getting, who is getting what. We know our classification, we know whether we are trying to buy it, whether we are waiting for in-person pickup. I hope everybody knows what they are doing with respect to getting the lab equipment. That is a matter of urgency. Other things, no, you don't need a soldering kit. No, sorry, no soldering in intro to ECSE. So you would make the, you see this in this box, there is a white colored board here. That is actually the breadboard or the proto board that you would be making your circuits on. So you would use these components, put them in a circuit, um, form on the board, on the breadboard, and then you will use your M1K board to measure voltages or supply voltages, and then you will see the results of that on the computer. Other questions? Well, I think you guys are good with this. Now, online tools for this class. The first and the foremost is Piazza. Oh, warranties for the kit. I'm not sure. I don't think they are. So I'm not sure if there are any warranties for the kit. Sorry, I'm not able to answer that question. I've not heard of any kind of warranty for this type of equipment. I know that it costs around $50, but I think my guess is no warranty. If you start using it, that's it. But just to make sure, when you go to the bookstore to pick it up, please ask them the question. Okay, let's look at this. One rule of thumb is this, right? Keep things away from water and food. These are electronic things. So your chances of keeping these things safe increase if you keep them away from food and drinks, right? So just keep them in the box and you should be fine. Let's see. Piazza, coming to the most important online tool that we will be using for this class. Communication is crucial now more than ever. And the main mode of communication will happen for this class through Piazza. You should ask questions over there. You should engage with your other student members over there. You should engage with me over there, right? So use that as your main communication tool for this class. And I like it a lot. One, it is free. Two, it is very accessible. You can use a browser and get to it. There's a phone app you can install. So for quick responses from students, from TAs, from instructor, it's a very, very handy tool to distribute lectures, to distribute video lecture links. It's a very wonderful tool that, because of its usefulness, other courses use as well. Okay, the next thing is Gradescope. Many of you might not have heard of Gradescope, but this is the online tool that you will soon be added to. There is no hurry for this. I will add you to this maybe next week. And Gradescope is the online tool, free online tool that we will be using for this class for submission and grading. So all your work will be submitted through Gradescope, and all that work that you submitted will be graded on Gradescope, and it will be returned to you digitally through Gradescope. You will be added to that in some time. There's no hurry for that right away. WebEx meetings, well, of course, that's what we are using for the meeting right now, and we will continue to use this for lectures in the semester as well. WebEx meetings, that's going to be your live lectures. I may from time to time poll the class. That's what I mean by quizzes. I may poll the class for a response, and I will use WebEx meetings for that. And to conduct office hours, I will use WebEx meetings. Next, when it is time, your each group will be subdivided into smaller groups. And because this is hands-on experiments, you will go after we have a discussion on WebEx meetings, you will work with your smaller group, maybe groups of 2 or 3 students, in WebEx teams to complete the experiments. So there is 2 sections. Each section is divided into groups, 3 groups, and each group is further divided into smaller student teams. Again, those that division and more about that division as we get closer to the semester. but everyone needs to have the equipment. That's what we need to worry about. YouTube, I'm going to use YouTube for distributing all the recorded content, just as this particular video being recorded right now. Okay, so that is all I have for you guys. If there are any questions, I can answer them now. If I were you, I would be installing the Piazza app on my phone right now to keep track of all class related communication. Since there are no required textbook, are there any optional textbook? I can provide that information to you about optional textbooks. Uh, uh, Let me look up all those details and give you that information on Piazza. I know that in the past, students have not used any textbook for this because it's a different kind of class, right? It's a hands-on class. So there's not much use of textbook for this course. But if you are interested in additional reading, I can certainly give you guys a few textbook resources. Is there a syllabus for this class? It is being made. So the syllabus for this class is under development because there is a lot of COVID related information that needs to get added on. So I'm still working on it, and when it is ready, I will make that available to you on Piazza. We are meeting today. The urgency of our meeting today is mainly because of the lab equipment. The next question is for non-ECSE students, because we won't be on campus for the end of the semester if we loan the M1K. Yes, yeah, absolutely. You can return it during the start of the spring semester. Yes, that's a good question. Yes. For student in different time zones, how will the attendance being checked, and for class or exam or homework, how will they accommodate to student in different time zones? So they will be so homeworks, they can be done at any time, right? So they are not timed assessments. They are going to be, you're probably going to have a few days to work on the homeworks, so that uh, doesn't pose a problem. However, for exams, I'm going to have different exams, and I'm going to split people up into different time zones. So people who are able to attend the regular class time for exams, they will take the exam during the class time. Others who are not able to do that can take it at a different time. So I will provide you multiple time slots to accommodate such situations. More about that as we get closer to the semester, closer to finding out how are things distributed, right? How many people are online? How many people are uh, in person? Different time zones. Which time zones do I have to cover? So all those determinations will be made later on. No problem. Yeah, I'm not going to expect, some of our freshmen are from China, and I'm not going to expect students who are in section 2, that is 4 p.m., which means that in China it's 4 a.m., to wake up to give an exam. No, I'm not going to expect that. So there will be alternative options for you guys to pick. Okay, other questions? The lectures that we are supposed to watch before class, will those be accessible on Piazza? Actually, I'm going to um, make um, so right now I'm in the middle of deciding whether to design a class web page. So if there is a class web page, I can uh, make those videos accessible over there. So for the lecture content that is outside of our WebEx meetings, um, right now I'm on the fence whether to push that content through a website or through Piazza. I will keep you guys informed. Right now they are in the form of a web page, um, uh, a website that is on the ECSE server. Um, but I still need to make a determination whether it makes sense to move all the things to Piazza or not. I will keep you guys posted on that. All right, no problem. Let's see. I guess we covered a lot of material today. First of all, before we end, I want to thank all the 50 plus students who joined. Um, 2-3 weeks before the start of the semester, on a Wednesday afternoon. At least that's what it is right now here. You guys are logging in to get ready for the semester, so give yourselves credit for that. um, Next, I'm going to say whatever we discussed today, make sure that you follow up on that, about the M1K board and the parts kit. And during this process, if you have any concerns, please uh, please initiate that conversation on Piazza. So sooner or later you will use it, either for this class or for another class. So I recommend getting comfortable with that as soon as possible. Okay, all right. I will see you guys when I see you guys. I am going to stop recording now.